Donessa McPherson, and this is Reviews of the Nerds. Today, I'm reviewing the Fun Hill Games card game OT Fantasy Draft that will be on Kickstarter in March. Fun Hill Games have created biblically themed games for people of all ages since 2013. They have already released 3 board games, a puzzle, and their first video game. Not only do they have OT Fantasy Draft coming to Kickstarter in March, they are also planning on releasing their first Bible study game. You can check them out on funhill-games.com, on Facebook and Instagram at Funhill Games. OT Fantasy Draft was designed by the Fun Hill team Lance Hill, Matt Ebish, and TR Knight. It is a 2 to 5 player card game where each player drafts their dream team from Old Testament characters. The object of the game is to create the best combos and score the most points. The instructions and gameplay are simple. Making decisions and creating those power teams can be more challenging. This game is recommended for players 10 years old and above. I had fun playing this game with my family and could see families, friends, neighbors, young adults, and youth groups playing this game together. The fact is that if you know your Old Testament characters and character combinations, it will be easier to create the power plays. If someone may not know, the cards give the instructions and power combinations that you should look for when it's your turn. I would recommend this for family and friend game nights, young adult get-togethers, youth groups, and any time a card game can be played and there are 2 to 5 players available. I'm Donessa McPherson, and remember, any time is a great time to play a game with those around you. And for more book, game, and homeschool recommendations with me, you can find me on Facebook at Bless This Messy Life and Instagram at bless.this.messy.life.
Recovered. Your luggage, your stolen vehicle, your pictures stored on your device, your passwords. In the culture we live in, there are so many things we could lose that would cause great difficulty in our everyday lives. On our family's last vacation, we experienced a taste of that when our flight was canceled and our luggage was lost in transit. Feelings of frustration and worry overwhelmed me, but let me tell you, I nearly screamed in celebration when I got the call saying, "Mrs. Oakes, your bags have been recovered." To recover, to find or regain possession of. When we surrender our lives over to God and begin to work through our salvation, the process of recovery begins. The church likes to use words like repentance or sanctify, but at the heart of it, we are in fact recovering, regaining possession of our hearts and minds, regaining possession of our sanity, regaining possession of our lives, and ultimately our eternity. All the while, God regains possession of us. To surrender to His will for our lives is to admit we need recovery from a life we once knew. To admit our weakness and exclaim with certainty the only way out is repentance and sanctification. Even when we struggle through the process, take heart in remembering, just as elated as we are when our most precious items have been recovered, and just as we celebrate the good news we've received, heaven celebrates every time one of their most adored possessions finds themselves in the process of recovery. Luke chapter 15, known as the parable of the lost, paints a beautiful picture for us of that exact scene. The chapter begins referencing lost sheep and then lost coins. Citing the deep burden it is to lose something priceless, then verse 10 states that just in the same way the woman rejoices when she finds her lost coin, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Friends, take joy in the process of your recovery and remember, to the one who paid it all for us, we are far more valuable than we can begin to understand.
Hey everyone, I'm Hector Miray, and this is Faith and Fandom 180 on LTN Radio. So Valentine's Day is once again come and gone, and I ended up with a gummy video game controller for Valentine's Day. It's almost the full size of a PlayStation 5 controller, but solid or squishy gummy. And while I first thought, man, that's cool, and then the second thought is, that's a lot of sugar. But then the third thought was that as I was looking at the packaging, I noticed that the gummy is held completely in a plastic casing. And my immediate thought, because if you've ever seen my booth at a Comic-Con or seen my posts online, outside of the books and stuff, I make candles, and my candles usually come from weird molds. Like I've got a BB-8 ice mold and a Death Star whiskey ice mold and stuff like that. I was like, man, if I do this right, I can make a candle that's almost the full size of a video game controller. And so I pulled the gummy controller out of the packaging, and I took a huge bite, put it in a Ziploc, and wiped it out. And I took the packaging into my little candle lab in my garage where I make candles, and started mixing some scents and colors and heating up the wax, but then starting to cool it slowly so that it didn't melt, because this thing is not made for candles. And my daughters are watching me, and they said, dude, what are you doing? This isn't something that you're supposed to be able to mold into this, and this isn't what this is meant for. And it just made me think back to this verse in Romans 9:20, where it says, on the contrary, who are you, mere man, that you are to talk back to God? Can an object that was molded say to the one who molded it, why did you make me like this? The reality is, I'm making some video game controller shaped candles, and they're pretty dope. But past that, we need to be able to learn to say, you know what, if God made us this way, he did it for a reason. He has the right to, and we should take joy and comfort in the fact that we're not accidental, that he made us how we are, and that as he created us, he looks on us with love. Remember to catch Faith and Fandom 180 every Wednesday morning on the Back Row Morning Show, only on LTN Radio. And if you'd like to learn more about Faith and Fandom, head over to faithandfandom.org, where you can learn about our Comic-Con ministry, podcast, memes, apparel, and book series. You can even read new chapters before they make it to the next book. I'm Hector Miray, and thank you for spending the last 180 seconds with me.
This week in Nerd History, up, and away too much money.
Nerd History.
Action Comics #1 is the most famous comic book in existence, with currently only between 50 and 100 editions left in the world. This comic book is largely regarded as the start of the superhero genre of comic books, showcasing several new heroes, the most notable being none other than Superman himself. Seeing as pretty much everything we know and love about superheroes today is owed to this book, speaking as someone who had to go see Spider-Man No Way Home in the theater twice because it was so amazing, you can see why this would be a valuable book. But on February 25th, 2010, it would break a record, selling for $1.5 million. In fact, it would keep breaking records, selling again in 2017 for $1.75 million, in 2018 for $2.052 million, and in April of 2021 for $3.25 million. While it is estimated that possibly 100 still exist, few are known to be in near mint condition, like the copies sold for millions. They are truly a sight to behold. Just make sure you're buying the right Action Comics #1. In September of 2011, DC Comics canceled all of its monthly books for a relaunch called The New 52. This included ending the original 73-year run of Action Comics with issue 904. The first issue of Action Comics Volume 2 went on sale on September 7th, 2011, with a cover date of November 2011. 5 years later, another reboot of the franchise, DC Rebirth, saw much of the New 52 retconned or folded into the comic continuity we were familiar with from before. This also restored the original numbering of some comic series, including Action Comics, which released Action Comics Volume 1, Issue 957 after Rebirth, leaving the last Volume 2 issue with the number 52. In retroactive backlists, these 52 issues have been renumbered to fit within Volume 1, thus making Action Comics Volume 2, Number 1, instead Action Comics Volume 1, Number 905. Of course, I'm going to hold on to my Volume 2, Number 1 issues just in case. I'm Radio Matt. See you next time for more
Nerd History.